Welcome to another edition of Whiskey, Games, and Nerd Stuff. Today's whiskey is Suntory Whiskey, and today's nerd stuff is going to talk about FireStar, the comic book. First, let's take a sip of our whiskey. Oh, that's so good. As people have seen in these videos before, I've done Suntory Whiskey a couple times. This is one of those ones that I prefer to either drink neat or on ice. And the more you let it sit, you can kind of get that honey, a little honey note to it, some citrus, and even some almond. Such a good whiskey. So today's comic book, I just happened to pick this up the other day for a relatively cheap price. It's not the most popular comic book. For those that remember, there used to be a Saturday morning cartoon called Spider-Man and Friends. And the Spider-Man and Friends cartoon was Spider-Man, Iceman, and FireStar. And if I recall correctly, FireStar was actually first introduced in that particular cartoon, and then later on came in the comics. This particular comic series has sentimental value to me. This is a recollection of reading this comic. It was one of the first times I can remember being bullied in school. I remember being on the school bus reading this particular comic, and a much bigger kid than me grabbed the comic book out of my hand, hit me in the head, and got off the bus. And that kind of really threw me for a loop that day. And I tried to psych myself up all that night to kind of confront him. But then I remembered what somebody had mentioned the other day, where that same kid had a black eye a few weeks before, and what we had found out is his dad was physical with him. So it was one of those things where, even at a young age, my first thought was, he's probably acting out because of what was happening to him. And then, long story short, I ended up actually becoming friends with this kid back at Fort Ord, and we were in contact for many years. So it was kind of one of those things where, it is what it is. It kind of sucked, but we took a situation and made something good out of it. It's one of those things that I've often said, you can't control what happens to you in life, but all you can do is control how you react to it. But today's comic, again, is FireStar. This was a 4-issue limited series. Here's issue number 1. We have issue number 2. Issue number 3. And issue number 4. And because I have these raw out of this little box that they came in, I'll go ahead and open up the pages so somebody could read the panels. I know in a previous video somebody asked if I would open these up. These don't seem to be very gradable comics, so I'm not too worried about opening these up to kind of see what it is. But you can tell this is just from the artwork and the pages. This is from the 80s. But I'll kind of skip in a little bit, see some of the ads. It's always interesting when you look at the checklist and the ads, little coupons. For those that collect comic books, we always hate it when people would cut out the comic books. So as you can see, there's a lot of the X-Men family in here. And this was because, if I recall correctly, Emma Frost was over the Hellions, the Hellfire Club. And then, of course, Professor Xavier was trying to recruit FireStar and them. So this is actually kind of a good series. This is going to be a little quick video. Again, this is just one of those things that was a little bit of sentimental value. Let me go ahead and open up the second issue here for a second. As you can tell, this is pretty banged up and damaged. I don't even know if this is worth pressing or not, but I'll go ahead and open up a few of these. Again, it's always interesting to see some of these advertisements. Does anybody remember Gru or ElfQuest back from the 80s? I'm actually going to try and pick up some of these. I saw some of these at a comic book shop a few weeks back. Power Pack and Amazing Spider-Man. Go ahead and flip through issue number 3. This is probably the best one of the bunch. Anyway, so this was, and I'll flip through these covers one more time. We've got issue number 1 of 4, issue number 2 of 4 in the limited series, 3, Gotta love that cover. And 4 with her costume. Again, this was a really quick video, and thank you for taking the time to watch this. Please like, subscribe, and comment. If there's other limited run comic books that anybody has that it's worth picking up, let me know. Or, it's one of those things where a lot of the reasons we have fondness for comics is, we have certain memories back from our youth when we read them. So please feel free to share any of your stories that you remember when reading the comics. And until next time, cheers.